Hey everybody, this is the fourth here, and welcome to part 3 of my Hardstyle kick tutorial. Now, if you haven't already, you should definitely go back and watch parts 1 and 2. The link to the playlist will be in the description, so you can go ahead and do that now. But let's get started. So in this part, I'm going to be explaining to you how you can get a good talk sound on your Hardstyle kick. Now, I'll be explaining how you can create a completely new talk from scratch, as well as how you can just improve on an existing talk that your distorted kick from part 2 might have. So first I'm going to talk about enhancing an existing talk. And there is a slight chance that you might not have to do anything at all. So here, this kick is a decent example of that. This is straight from part 2. All I did was the distortion on it, and it has a decent talk already, so I might not do any further adjustments to that. But, that's a pretty rare case. Usually you want to do at least something to kind of enhance it a little bit. And the first thing you can do with an existing talk is more EQ and distortion. So let me just turn this example into just the talk. Okay. So, you might want to do some EQ and I'm just going to do some saturation for this example. And, just use this to enhance certain parts of the talk. So if I want more punch to it, I could boost. If I want more high end, I can boost the high end. I can cut out anything that's unnecessary. To kind of clean it up a bit. And if you want a really raw talk sound, instead of using saturation, you might use full-on clipping distortion. And, you might even do a couple of these to get a really raw sounding talk. But yeah, so that's how EQ and distortion can help enhance your talk. And then what you would do is just replace the talk from your original kick with this talk. And now, the other way you might enhance an existing talk is with layering. So, if the talk of your kick is kind of missing a certain character that you really want, you could layer something that has that character on top of your kick to help bring that out. And you can layer with, processed drum samples. You could layer with talks taken from other kicks that you maybe process a little bit. And, I'll go more into the details of how to use layering to be the most effective in the next part of this video series. But for now, I'll just give you a quick example of something you might layer. So this kick here has a decent punch sound already, but it doesn't have enough of an initial attack to it. You can hear it kind of almost fades into the kick. So what I've done is I added something, very basic to enhance that. And this is just a talk sound that I've changed with the pogo settings in FL Studio. So something like that, but a bit different. And you can hear it's just really punchy. And when I layer these two together, this is the resulting sound. And that really basic sound just adds a lot more power to the kick. And So, sometimes you may just need to layer something as simple as that. But other times you might have to layer something more like this. Much more, full talk sound. And that's because, this kick has hardly any talk at all. Which, that's actually an example for the next bit about creating a full talk from scratch, because that kick had such little talk sound. But yeah, you can layer, whatever you think of to layer to add that sound to the kick. So if you need a little bit more punch in the low end, you could add maybe a clean filtered 909 kick to kind of add that punch. And you just have to make sure that you pay attention to phasing and all that stuff, which again I'll get more into on the next part of this video series. But another example of something you'll layer on your kick to enhance the talk is a filtered version of the same kick. So you can hear this example. I've layered this sound, which is just this kick, except I filtered it before the effect chain so that it turns into just the talk sound. And then once you layer both of these together, you get a really full sounding kick. So again, all this is the same kick, but band pass filtered going through the effect chain. And to get a similar sound to that, you could use a synth to create a talk. So these are some presets I've made for Citrus, and if you want to download these, the link will be in the description, and I'll be talking more about them soon. Okay, so let's get into how you can go about making a completely new talk. And, one way to do this is to actually completely rip a talk from a different kick and put it on your new kick. Now, if you do this, you'll probably want to process it a little bit so it doesn't sound too familiar. And you probably want it to be from a kick you've made just to stay in the spirit of making your own sound. And so that's what this example here is for. You can see that if I extend this, it's just the talk sound from this kick here. And I've just isolated the talk and then layered it over the other kick that has no talk. And it gets me a final sound. So, you can do that, and then if you want to, you can adjust things like the pogo to make it sound a lot different, or change the pitch, put it through more distortion and EQs, whatever you want to get it to sound the way you want. And so if you want to make it completely from scratch rather than ripping a talk, what you're really going to want to do is probably layer. So here's an example. So this is an example of a layer I've made. And you can see it's these three sounds layered together. This one's just, pretty sure that's a 909 kick, and this is a 909 clap. And then there's the Talkmaker preset. And when you layer them together and process them, you get the final sound. So these are all going through EQs to kind of cut different characters out to help shape the sound. And then after that, it's going through some more EQs, and distortion. So, you can really layer whatever you want. And the things that I'll be talking about after this point are the kind of things that you might layer together to get the really full talk sound that you want. But you could also use the things that I'm talking about next completely on their own. So, it's completely up to you. Just play around and, use all these different techniques to get the sound that you want. So another way you could get a new talk sound from scratch is by reprocessing your kick. So in this example here, I could have gone back and taken the original kick sample and put it through different EQs and different distortions and all kinds of different effects until I got a really powerful talk out of that. Because just having different settings on all those effects can bring out a totally different character in your kick. And using the same kick sample is, a really good way to have it still sound like it fits with that kick. And you might use that on its own, or you might layer it with some other things. Another technique you might want to do is process other drum sounds. And so you could use any kind of sounds: claps, hats, snares, acoustic kicks, just anything you can think of, and just EQ and distort them in a similar way that you did to make your kick sound, except probably a bit less extreme, because all of the high end of the claps and snares and stuff will get really aggressive really quickly. So, you might stick to more saturation and soft clipping kind of effects. But, do what you want to get them to sound the way you want. And here's an example of something that I processed. And all it is a kick sound, different from what I would have used for the hardstyle kick, going through an homicide, which is multi-band distortion. And, that's probably not a full talk sound. I'd probably want to layer that with some other sounds, but it has gotten me a really great sound. And, that's just because of this really thin band distorted. So to do something similar, I might, use an EQ and either high pass it or band pass it and then, distort. But it's not going to sound the same as homicide, because it's not as extreme. But, you get the idea. So this could be a clap, this could be any kind of sound, and it's all in the processing you do. And it's going to be the same as making a kick. You just tweak it until it sounds right. Okay, and then the last thing that I have to tell you to do is, you could make your own talk using a synthesizer. And so that's what, these examples here are. So again, if you want to download these presets, the link will be in the description. But really how I made these is I made them similar to how I made the kick in part 1. They have a pitch envelope as well as a volume envelope. And the difference is I used a harsher waveform than I usually use for kicks. You can use a saw waveform to make a kick, but usually I use something a little bit less harsh than a saw. But if you want to make the talk sound of a kick, you definitely want to use a waveform with a lot of harmonics. So, a saw, or a square, or a pulse, anything like that. And have the volume envelope, the pitch envelope, and unison. Unison is really important, with a decent amount of detune, and you want the phases to all be different. So if I turn this off, you see it's not as fat as if I have the unison on. And it just gives that, that certain character that sometimes talks will have. And So after that, what I've done is I've put it through a filter, and you can see it's really emphasizing a specific band, and then I've distorted it with some cubic wave shaping distortion. And you can hear if I change this modifies the filter. So you can get different characters by changing the filter settings. And then once you have your talk that you've made completely from scratch, what I definitely recommend you do is have some of the original kick sound while the talk is playing. So you can see this one here, it starts off with just the talk, and then the original kick comes in. And that just helps it sound a lot more natural if you have some of the original kick character during the talk. If I remove this, it doesn't quite sound as blended together. Now, maybe this is the kind of sound you want, in which case you can do that, but I really like to have them blended together a bit more. And part of the difference in the sound is that it's being less distorted with only this sound. But yeah. So once you have your talk sound, you're ready to move on to step 4, where we layer everything together. Thanks for watching my tutorial video. I hope you found it to be helpful. If you want to learn more, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can watch new videos as soon as I upload them. After that, check out the Beat School website. I'll have the link in the description. All my tutorials are organized on the site so that you can easily find what you need by browsing through the different categories. There are also a ton of awesome resources to help you in every aspect of music production. And if you want to help support me, you can buy any of my sample packs, preset packs, or project files for only $5 or less. This gets you some great sounds for a great price and allows me to spend more time making these tutorials and working on the website. Thanks again for watching my video, and have a great day.